What's up, y'all? My name is Trey. This is Investing by Numbers. We talk all things stock market and other forms of investment. But today, this is a really cool video, guys. I got a couple things I'm going to talk about, a couple of really exciting things. Number one, there is a stock that we have been calling out in this channel since early March. It was in my stocks I was buying in March. It was also in stocks I'm buying in April. But that stock has since over doubled up in the past 3 to 4 months. And if you were buying it right along with me, you should have about a double up as well. We're going to talk about what stock it is and also what we were looking for as we were calling this stock out, because that's the most important thing when it comes to investing, is knowing what to look for. Now, a 2x in 3 to 4 months is not something that happens very often, and but when it does, it's awesome. And we're going to talk about what to look for that might put you in that same arena with other stocks now or into the future. The second thing I'm going to talk about is a new thing I'm bringing to this channel, a whole nother side of investment. I'm really excited about it. It's something that is new to me, and I'm going to walk you through step by step what I'm doing so that maybe if you're interested, you can follow along. The third thing I'm going to talk about in this video is I'm just going to vlog a little bit and talk about where I've been in the couple of weeks. It's been a little bit slow on this channel the past month or so, but I've been doing a lot of different things and trying to get, of course, this new office I'm in up to par. You can see I've got my nerdy posters and other things hanging up behind me. I'll talk about what's been going on with that. And that'll be it. So I'm looking forward to this video. Stick around and let's get into it. Okay, the stock in question is, it's ELF, guys. ELF. ELF is killing it out there. ELF has, as it takes forever to load here, coming down here. Okay, I'm at 98% right now, up, but it was like 106, earlier in the week. Anyway, close enough, right? Close enough. But ELF has just been on a tirade, okay? So we started buying this. I started buying it in, I think, like mid-February. We come down here to my history. Let's see. February 7th. Okay, I bought 1.5 shares. I bought some really small positions throughout February. And then in March, I started, especially in late March, I started loading up pretty hardcore. And into April, bought more. And it looks like, yeah. So my last buy here was April 11th at $52.11 a share. Small position there, but got a big position here on April 7th, March 31st. Anyway, you get the drift. But ELF has just been really running, okay? Best performing stock in my portfolio over the past few months for sure. But let's come up here. We'll go to year to date. Check out this graph. Yeah, so you can see here, obviously I started buying a little bit here in February. In March is when I put it on my list of stocks to buy in March. And then in April, it was also on the list. I can't remember if it was on. It probably was in May. But I had a price target somewhere probably up here. So I think I didn't really, once it really started running in May, I was no longer picking up any shares. Even though I think at the price now, it's probably still great for the long term. I think there are other stocks out there, and being that it's doubled up, I'm not interested in picking up any shares at the moment. But let's check out some things on ELF and what we were looking at, and why I was calling it out, because it's really not just, you don't want to just buy a stock just because it's down, 50% or whatever it is. You want the numbers to be backing up exactly, what you're looking for. You want a growing company with revenue growth, and you want net income growth to be growing, and you really just want to be, making smart decisions, good balance sheet, and also a good PE ratio, historically. So obviously the first thing, of course, the stock was beaten down big time. We had all-time highs, back in March of 2024, over $200 a share, 217 there, and it looks like we kind of double topped, got up to about 210 in June, and ever since it's just been on this, going down and going down until April. We hit, like multi-year lows. So of course this looks good on one hand because we're getting a lot lower price, but Just because a stock is dropping doesn't mean it's a buy. Just because a stock has been, almost $220 a share and now it's at, $50 or $60 a share, that doesn't just automatically mean, okay, now it's time to buy, because we could have, fundamentals that are failing. But here's what we were looking at, in the past few months with ELF. I'm on macrotrends.net. And here is the revenue chart. This is our quarterly chart here in the middle, and this is the trailing 12 months revenue over up at the top. So I like to see graphs that are up and to the right with growing revenue over time, growing quarterly revenue over time, and this looks fantastic. Just kind of an easy thing to look at with what we want to see for just a growing company, especially a growth stock. All right, net income. Also, so this is where this is kind of where their stock started taking a dip, because we had a decreasing net income, even though we had growing revenue. So now we're starting to see the net income start to pick up a little bit, but we're still over the long term growing, and it's okay. Stocks are going to have these downturns. This is where, this is a lot of times where you can get good deals on stocks, and you can see here also on quarterly. We came up, and it's kind of been just running sideways quarterly for net income, but also this trailing 12 months is finally the first time we've had year-over-year net income growth for a while. So looking good, I like it, and let's check out the PE ratio. I'm a big believer in a PE ratio, definitely under 50. That's kind of just a protection for myself. I really don't want to buy a stock that's over a 50 PE. Not saying I won't, but it's got to be a really special occasion. So up here we have the stock price, and here we have the PE ratio. So I really like to kind of get an idea of where the PE ratio kind of trades at in the average run of things. Obviously, we were profitable, but then we weren't profitable, and then we had this spike up and we became profitable again. This does happen when you go in and out of profitability, and so sometimes it'll shoot up, and you really want to see this thing balance out. I mean, you can, obviously there's some spikes here that you can, if you really know what you're looking at, you can be buying through this, but I really like to see, just to make me more comfortable, a kind of balancing out of a P ratio for most stocks, not all, but for most. And when we look at this graph here, obviously we got down here to 57 in 2022, and then up to around 75, and then it dipped down to almost 50, but 51, and then we jumped up to over 100, and then since it's been dropping. A dropping PE along with a dropping share price is what you want to see if a share price is dropping, because sometimes, as we're seeing kind of with Tesla lately, is that sometimes when the price starts dropping and the PE ratio is going up, this is showing us that there's a divergence in what's going on with the net income, and that's kind of usually a bad sign. It may not be a long-term bad sign, but it's something to pay attention to. But when I'm seeing a dropping share price and the PE ratio is also dropping with it, that's a really good sign. And we got all the way down to under a 33 PE down here. And right now, obviously, we're back over a 50, so that's another reason I really don't want to be buying more shares right now, because I like to stay under a 50. But this is the lowest PE, when it dropped down, to the low 30s. This is the lowest PE we had seen for ELF since it's been profitable. I mean, yeah, it dropped down to here, but these were big spikes, spike down and a spike up. I mean, yeah, we had something back here in the low, but it was really a pretty quick spike up. So this is great to see, and this was what I was looking at, which was why I was such a big buyer. Another thing I want to look at, of course, is the income statement. The income statement is a really important thing to look at, because it shows us, what kind of growth, number growth we're having, and that can kind of tell us if we, with other companies, is the PE ratio justified? Is it a good deal, or is it not? But with ELF, going back into 2020, we had $283 million in revenue, and we had a pretty decent jump up, about 20% or so into 2021. and then roughly another 20 to 30% run year over year in 2022. Another, definitely double-digit growth, going up almost to 600 million, and then almost a double up in revenue growth into 2024, and then around a 30% growth into 2025. These are fantastic numbers over the past 5 years. These are great multi-double-digit growths year over year with revenue. Now, net income also, now we had this dip here from 2020 and 2021, but huge, almost over a 3x into 2022 with net income, another 3x into 2023, over a double up into 2024, but our net income went down year over year in 2025, and this is kind of what we were seeing, which was why our stock price was dropping. But this can happen with companies. You can have, they can reinvest their money elsewhere and kind of have a sideways run for net income. But with this kind of revenue growth going on, I mean, year after year, these huge, 20 to 50% revenue growth year over year consistently is really fantastic. And it definitely shows us that there's plenty of more room for growth, most likely with ELF. And that's what I was looking at when I started calling it out as a buy. And I was really happy to pick up shares where they were, especially when they dropped, below $70 a share and into the 50s. How fantastic that worked out. Now, that could be, that being said, ELF could totally, crash with their next set of numbers. But if it still looks good and it drops back below $70 a share, I'll probably pick up some more shares of ELF, as it will make more runs in the future if they keep doing what they're doing. So that's kind of what we were looking at there with ELF. I kind of wanted to bring that to light. A lot of our other stocks we've called out have done well, over the past few months. I think the only stock that I've called since January of this year in stocks I was buying was probably Nike. Is probably the only one I'm down on. Nike was a great stock in my opinion, to be buying when the market was at all-time highs and we were looking for good deals. But as the stock market started going down, there was so many great growth stocks, NVIDIA, ELF, Celsius, some other companies out there that I just was really excited to pick up shares with. If we get back to all-time highs and there's not as many good deals out there and Nike is still down, I probably will pick up more shares of Nike, because as I don't think it'll run up as quick as some of these other stocks, I do think Nike's an easy buy for the long term. So what's new on the horizons for investing by numbers for our channel? Something that I'm about to start getting into, something I've been working towards for a couple years, but have not been ready to pull the trigger is, a lot of I'm a real estate agent. That's what I do for work. And I've been a real estate agent for a couple years. Now, I got my real estate license. Before that, I spent 14 years in fire and EMS. I was a firefighter, paramedic, and then I spent a couple years kind of just doing whatever work I could find to pay the bills as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. I've always invested my money. I've always been into the stock market, but I kind of wanted to get into other things. I had slowly started building a decent, stock portfolio. And I was brainstorming of ways to diversify. But I decided that, maybe real estate was something that I wanted to get more into. So I kind of had the idea of, we've all seen those shows of, these people that flip houses. And I thought that might be something that would be fun to get into, especially with my wife, as she's a very creative and hardworking person. So something like that she was very interested in. But there were so many, they make it look so easy on TV. And guys, I've put my hand on the stove before. I tried to get really into day trading back in 2020, and I lost a bunch of money. I made a whole video on that at the beginning of this channel back in last December. So if you're interested, go watch it. It's my story about losing a bunch of money. And everyone loves a good sob story. That's funny about YouTube. We just like to feel like someone else's life is going a little worse than ours, but that's okay because we all do it. But anyways, so I got really into the idea of wanting to flip houses, and I liked the numbers side of it, and finding good deals and running comparables. But I said, let me do this the smart way. Let me take my time. So I decided to get my real estate license. And as I went through the class, I was really just getting it to learn. And then maybe if it worked out, do some real estate deals and bring in some extra income. But as I was going through the real estate class, I really enjoyed it. I loved learning about that side of things. And so when I got my license, I jumped headfirst in and started making it my full-time gig. I do have part-time work. I do window treatment installations, blinds and roller shades and stuff like that. I do that part-time, but most of my income comes from real estate as a real estate agent, as a realtor. So the cool thing that happened was as I got more into real estate and started getting deals, I kind of was okay with putting the idea of flipping houses on the back burner. But then I was able to list a fixer-upper property, and I met some new flippers, and I became their agent for their flipping side. And they were getting into it. They were new. And we have since done quite a few deals with them. And I got to get good in with the contractor and develop a relationship with him. And I was able to really watch how they walked a house and looked at certain things. And I was able to run comparables, and we were able to buy homes, put in the work, and then sell them. And I got to learn a lot of great difficult lessons on selling flipped houses. So I've really learned the do's and don'ts of flipping houses. I've learned how to run the numbers as an agent, and also, I have a contractor at this point that I trust that I can use going forward. And basically the only thing that's been holding me back the past couple of months is using hard money loans. I need a decent down payment, and I've been putting all my money into stocks. But I have decided to finally pull the trigger, and we're in the process of getting our LLC, my wife and I. And as long as everything looks good, I had talked to a couple years ago a hard money lender and got the rough numbers. And so at this point, once we get our LLC, it'll really just be finding the right property. Because also as an agent, I get commission on the buying of the property and when I sell it. So not only do I make the money off the flipping side, but I get to make money off of the commission side on both sides of the deal if I buy an on the market property to flip. So there's a lot of wiggle room in there as a real estate agent. And I think it's been really smart to take my time with this and really feel comfortable moving into this, because sometimes when you jump into stuff like this, you can really get burned. I'm sure a lot of y'all have had similar experiences with all kinds of things. I think the best way to do something is to move slowly and to really learn as much as possible. And if you can work with someone else that's already doing it, you limit your risk substantially. And that's what I've been doing it with my clients that do flips. I've been working with them. And I've also made friends with wholesalers. And so I've made good relationships with people that will buy properties just to resell them and make a couple thousand really quick. And so you can find really good deals that way. And I've made some good relationships with some of the wholesalers in my town. And so I've got a lot of leg up in my area to get into this, and this is something I'm really excited about doing. So the only thing I have left to do is find the right property. And once I do this, it's going to be another part of this channel where I'm going to go through every little step. I'm going to go through how I find properties, on the MLS, what I'm looking at. I will probably maybe show some walking of properties and looking at different things, walking them with the contractor, and everything through it, going over the numbers, going over the mistakes, because even though I haven't flipped anything myself, I've watched others in my close circle make some really rough mistakes that have cost them dearly. And I've learned from their hardship, which is one of the best things you can do if you have the opportunity to do it. So really excited about that. I don't know, when the first flip will happen. Obviously, we're in the process of starting to get ready to get our LLC, and once we do that, we'll have to get some business licenses. But I plan to fund the first flip with selling off some of my stock portfolio. One of the hard money lenders I talked to a couple years ago said when you first start out, they require a 25% down payment on that first purchase price, and they charge like 10% interest per year, and you pay your interest monthly, and they give you a bank to pull from for repair costs. So basically you put a 25% down payment on the initial purchase price, and then you're able to pull money and add it to what, your loan as the process moves forward. But the great thing in my position is, I've got a few stocks that have definitely done really well. There's a couple stocks that I would be okay with selling some of my positions or parts of my positions and moving that money into another form of investment. And then once I sell that first flip, as long as everything goes well, moving that back into my stock portfolio and then using my profits I made on the flip to fund the next. And then, maybe at most be able to do later on down the road, a couple at a time. But I also want to play it really safe. And I have that option of having, six figures. I have over 200K in my stock portfolios that if worst case scenario happens, I have the means to pay off that loan if all is necessary. That's definitely a huge worst case scenario. That would be like a stock market crash. I'm sorry, a real estate market crash type situations, which they don't happen often, but you got to be prepared for the worst. And so I, won't be doing more flips than I have liquidity to pay off the loan if things went really bad. And then you would just be kind of sitting, on some properties, but luckily you wouldn't be paying that high interest rate with those hard money loans. You could rent the properties out, get mortgages on them, move that back into your stock portfolios, stuff like that. These are things I've picked up along the way. Some of you might already be, if you're a home flipper or make money through real estate, comment below. Tell me what you do and how long you've been doing it. I'd like to know and chat about that. But I'm pretty excited about it. It's something that I've wanted to get into for a couple years, but I'm really happy that I played it safe and have taken my time, because now I do feel like I'm ready to take the plunge, and I'm excited. I'm really excited, but I expect it to be tough. I expect there to be hardships, but that's okay. The best things in life come difficultly, and anything that comes easy, watch out, because you're going to lose your ass. Most likely, if money comes too easily, that's a bad sign. Everything in this world that's worth anything takes a lot of hard work. Third thing I want to talk about is obviously, what's been going on in my life. We've been doing a lot of work on our home. For those of you that don't know, I live in Montgomery, Alabama, in a historic house. It was built in 1916, and we've done a lot of work to it. It's in really good shape, but old houses take work constantly, but it's a labor of love. I had my office in a room downstairs, and we are now converting that into our guest bedroom. And now I'm actually in what will be my long-term office. You don't want to see the rest of this room because it's filled with junk. We have had a yard sale to try to liquidate as much of our junk as possible that we've accumulated over our lives. But I've been selling off some of my music equipment. I used to play in a band for 10 years that I traveled with. You can see my half-stack Marshall behind me, using it as a cool decoration for now. Even though I'm a major geek, I try to pretend that I'm cool. Up here, that's my dog. So that's Barley. But had to arrange. I first sat down up here tonight to do this video, and realized that the space was so boring, so I had to spruce it up a little bit with some of my posters to look more appealing. No one wants to look at a boring gray wall. But I'm just in the corner. I've got huge plans for this office. But the first thing we have to do is we have to finish doing all the decor in our living room, kitchen, our living spaces, our entertainment spaces, and that guest bedroom. We're looking to host our family's Thanksgiving this year at our house, which is the first time we've done it. And we want to have that whole space ready for the family and looking good. And so after we get finished with that, I will be really investing a lot of money into this office to make it look really cool and finally get to have the office I've always wanted. Things will look very differently, as time goes on, but I'll probably stick to this corner for a few months. So this will be home for a little while. But anyways, a little bit of a long-winded conversation there about things that are happening, but things are really excited about, things to help, make this channel a little more multifaceted. I love the idea of having a channel with stocks, but also in real estate. Flipping is just so much fun. There's a reason there's shows, on TV, is because it's so cool to see hard work and progress through making a space livable again when it's been in bad shape. So that will be fun to watch. I will document those processes, and hopefully for those people interested, I can really go over the do's and don'ts. On TV, they make it look really easy, and it's not. It's not just a matter of buying a bad house for a cheap price and then investing whatever money amount to it. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces, and it is difficult, but I'll go over all the do's and don'ts. I'll go over common mistakes because I've already seen them working with my other clients that have flipped houses, and they've gone through some hardships. Anyway, look forward to it all. Stocks, real estate, we're finally coming full circle there with different forms of investments and really taking the channel to that next level. So that being said, please hit the like button. It helps push our video out to more people and helps grow the channel. Subscribe so you stay up to date with every new video I publish. I have been slower lately in publishing videos because we've had a lot going on in life. But as we move into more and more projects with this channel, I want to go back to posting, a couple times a week. Right now, I'm trying to get to where I can post at least once weekly. But we'll stay up to date with stocks I'm buying, my portfolio, and also real estate now. So anyways, that being said, guys, like, subscribe, comment below with any questions you have. Comment below about, if you're in real estate, if you're flipping, what stocks you're buying. I love to hear that stuff. I love to read it. And I love to comment back and forth if it's worth talking about. And a lot of times people, it's just great to hear from y'all that have been watching this channel for the past few months. Anyways, once again, I've been really long-winded tonight. But on that note, I hope you'll have a great evening, a great day whenever you're watching this, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.